Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hey, beautiful people, this is Freedom Fighter. Welcome to Saturday Night Dialogues. I'm laughing at some technical difficulties, so bear with me, but I think we're all good now. It is December the 13th, 2025, and of course we have just a few days before Christmas. And folks, this week that just passed, there were a lot of gifts that Goldilocks shared with us that are coming from Iraq, Vietnam, and the global banking system regarding the currencies that many of us hold. And I hope that you are prepared for what is to come. So let's get right into some prayer and get into the call. And let's get rocking and rolling. Father God, we come to you in honor and glory. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of love, of kindness. We thank you for the gift of community. We thank you for allowing everyone to be here tonight. And for those that are going to be listening all over the world, we thank you for them being able to tune in and be a part of this as well. We ask that you allow each and every person, no matter where they are and traveling, to be with their families during this time of the year for the holidays. We ask that you allow them to be safe and sound and to keep them protected under your precious banner of blood. In your precious name, we pray. Amen. All right, folks, real quick, we're going to get into some quick announcements, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling. First, of course, we have Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, which is, of course, a read-only room. Now, that is where Wiley, myself, and the tribe were every single day for over a year and a half, sometimes 9, 10, 11 hours per day, just pouring into each and every one that was willing to listen and follow the steps that we share to get them prepared for this blessing. And we hope that many of you are prepared. And for those of you, if you are not, we hope that you take the time to either go into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room to find the steps. All you got to do is search 8 steps, or you can go to the YouTube channel and there are videos where we have done educational videos of what others you've heard from that they have done to get prepared. Many people have currency exchange contracts in hand, accounts set up already, debit cards in hand already, so that when their exchanges happen, they're able to access their funds. They're able to do what they want to do. You could be next, and you have that opportunity. Then we have D's room, where D drops articles from around the globe on what's happening with the global banking system. And then, of course, we have Goldilocks Global Banking News. That's your daily podcast whereby we bring forth Goldilocks articles in audio form. And right now, the channel is reaching over 2.4 million views around the world, over 80 countries, and 21,000 subscribers. Folks, it's a pleasure to be able to bring forth the truth to you with the facts that Goldilocks brings forth every single day. We are very proud. Just so you know, tonight we are going. I know many people probably missed what Goldilocks shared during the week. It was a quiet I wouldn't say a quiet announcement by Iraq, but it definitely was an announcement. And for some reason, not too many people were aware of it, but we're going to go into details tonight because the Central Bank of Iraq spoke openly about the dinar and what their plans are. We're just going to bring it to you and share it with you because that's what Goldilocks did earlier this week. The same thing with the Vietnamese Dong and the expectation of the surge in their exchange rate. It's in writing, and we're going to share it with you tonight. And then also, we're going to share what Goldilocks put out about what's expected with all of the currencies throughout the whole entire global banking system. And of course, Iraq, Vietnam, and other currencies that many of us hold are a part of this. And as we are winding down towards the end of this year, going into the beginning of next year, I just want to say to you folks, I hope that you are prepared. All right. Tonight, we're going to have Sniper. I see Wiley. Wiley, you want to chime in here? And you want to, before we get started, I'm going to have to acknowledge you, Wiley. How you doing, my good man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, sir. You doing all right?
Yeah, just recovering from a couple Alphabet Agency Christmas parties and whatnot, getting the scoop on a few things. So
Yeah,
I've shared a bit of that with you.
Yeah, you've been in Washington D.C. rubbing elbows with the three-letter agencies and the who's and the bankers around the world.
Yeah, it's all good. It's that time of year where they all want to get things solidified for the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Anything you want to share? Anything you feel like opening up to share, or you want to keep it between us like you've done
I think
already?
I will keep that between us for this time being, and we'll just lay out what Goldilocks has got for the audience, and as that other stuff materializes, we may bring that forward.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. And folks, we're going to have the Sniper who is going to be reading the articles tonight. Our beloved Peculiar Rand still got a frog in her throat. Her whole house is sick. And so let's keep her and her family in prayer. And I know as weather breaks and it gets colder and colder, a lot of us start to get the sniffles. So we'll keep her in prayer. Sniper, you ready to rock and roll, my good man?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing last Saturday about your story with your bank that invited you to the hockey game, and you were in the suite. Wiley, I'm not sure if you had a chance to hear that, but last Saturday, Mike N shared that he was invited by his wealth management firm to a professional hockey game, and he was eating up all the good food in their skybox.
I'm sure that all he wasn't eating up. I'm sure he was eating up some good information they were providing him too.
You know it. I was all ears.
And tell Wiley
makes a big difference when you have true information coming at you from a fiduciary who's working on your behalf.
It does. It does. It goes a little bit different when you're hearing it from a guy that you're looking to put on, that's essentially getting ready to work for you. It makes a big difference when they're kind of giving you their side and what they're looking at, for the markets and how they're adjusting and lining up, getting ready to move forward.
Yeah, and it ain't the same old circular intel you're getting from the regular community, is it not?
No, absolutely not. Not even close.
That's right.
If you don't mind, Sniper, if you can give Wiley and everyone a quick summary and synopsis on some of the things that were discussed in the not the details in your meeting, but you also met some other bankers and investors. If you can do that, please.
Absolutely. Do. Yeah. So they had an economic outlook the following day after we were there at the Hawks game. They had about 4 of the private bankers that were in from out of town. My wealth manager is the directing manager of the wealth management side for their division. She's, the top dog. So they were all there discussing about AI and how it's going to be implemented in the markets and how they're moving forward. They're looking at AI pretty much being a part of everything in terms of transactions, data, you name it. They were also, I spoke to one of them, the private bankers. He has a lumber distributor that he actually deals with. I asked him about, how did he see tariffs starting in 2026 with like lumber and things like that. He gave me that reference of a guy that's a distributor. And he made it clear that, they're going to switch a lot of things to American markets. But he was also looking at how every country around the world, how they've all been doing it and how it's a huge benefit for us. And again, they are looking at implementing AI with some of these stable coins as well. So they are gearing up for it.
And folks, as a refresher, to refresh your memory, this is what Goldilocks has been sharing for quite some time, that it is going to be AI that is going to guarantee the accuracy of rates on currencies. Because in the new digital asset-based trading system, the new banking system, folks, it's artificial intelligence, the technology that will assure not only the accuracy of the exchange rates, but also the speed of the exchanges and the speed of transactions. Because in the old system, the reason why so many of the currency exchange rates have been low, well, it's human error, not even human error, human manipulation, intentional devaluing of currencies. Just like Vietnam intentionally devalued their currency for many years, Iraq and many other countries. But now that AI, what you're hearing Mike speak of and what Goldilocks has been stating for months, over a year, is that it will be AI. This is why Iraq, Vietnam, and others, and Goldilocks shared this, and we brought it to you. This is why they passed their digital asset regulation laws, their digital laws, because they were getting prepared for the AI that will take over in the banking system. And this is what Mike N is referring to when his wealth manager, which is not only his wealth manager, they're all preparing for this, because these wealth managers, folks, they are the institutions that move currencies around the world daily in the trillions. The Forex market is almost $18+ trillion a day. And all of that will be done now through artificial intelligence to assure the accuracy of our exchanges. Of course, all transactions, not just exchanges. Also, as Goldilocks has coined the phrase, watch the water, the transactions on the water. See, this is where the currencies will move in rate through supply and demand. So with tariffs that are going to hit in January at full force, this is where it's going to be a ripple effect for all of the currencies because they're connected to all of the countries. Now, thank you for that brief update, my good man, Sniper.
Yes, sir.
Now, what we're going to do, folks, we're going to get right into what Goldilocks has shared throughout the week. But of course, as you all know very, very well, we have to start out the root of it all, with the Trump administration that made it very clear in writing that when Trump returns to office, his priority is the currency revaluation. Here it is in writing. Quote, currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official. Remember, as a reminder, this was written in April of 2024, months before the November election, that when Trump returns, this is written as if it was forecasting, President Trump's priority will be the currency revaluation. But weakening of the dollar could have a far-reaching approach. Now let's go straight to Iraq, because it's tied into this of what President Trump is doing with currency revaluation, and all of what Goldilocks shares is connected to trade. Over the last 7 years, almost 4,000 posts by Goldilocks about the currency revaluation will happen through trade. And here we have, what does President Trump administration say? Currency revaluation. This is a quote. Currency revaluation is likely to be priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, end quote. Now, let's go right into Iraq and how this time. What you're about to hear is, speaking of quotes, is quotes directly from the Central Bank of Iraq. It is the Central Bank of Iraq, ladies and gentlemen, that, I'm going to say this in different ways, monitors the Iraqi dinar exchange rate, governs the Iraqi dinar exchange rate, and controls the Iraqi dinar exchange rate. The Central Bank of Iraq, that is their responsibility. The governor of the Central Bank is the highest authority for the Iraqi dinar. It is not the prime minister. It is not the parliament. That is not their responsibility. They are elected officials. They are bureaucrats. The central bank that controls the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar and the governor is not an elected official. He is not a bureaucrat. Their responsibility, and his responsibility, is strictly financial for the whole entire country. And that part of that responsibility is to monitor, govern, and control the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. This is the responsibility of every central bank and every central bank governor around the world. Same thing with Vietnam and other countries. Same thing with the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the central bank of the United States over the US dollar. But it is through supply and demand that moves the currency. But it is the responsibility of the central bank to monitor, govern, and control the rate based on supply and demand. Now, what you're about to hear directly from the central bank governor is what their plans are for the Iraqi dinar. This is a direct quote. These are direct quotes, and he actually gives from his speech. Goldilocks provided the bullet points, and this is directly from the CBI, where he gave his bullet points. The Central Bank of Iraq governor, Ali Musan al-Alaq, opened the 5th annual international conference titled The Future of Financial Markets in Iraq in an Era of Contemporary Transformations. This was a conference, an annual conference, and the central bank governor spoke openly about the dinar. These are the key points from his speech, directly from the central bank governor. Number one, he stated the world is undergoing rapid, unprecedented financial and technological changes. Mike N. Sniper, this sounds familiar to what your wealth manager told you about AI. The first sentence.
Yep. Exactly.
So here we have the central bank governor who controls the dinar, folks. The world is undergoing rapid, unprecedented financial and technological changes. Traditional models, meaning the old system, traditional models are obsolete. This is a direct quote from the governor who controls the dinar, telling us the old system is obsolete. Technology and the changes are unprecedented. And ladies and gentlemen, as Goldilocks has been sharing for the last several years, Iraq has been preparing for this. I'll continue. Next quote by the central bank that controls the Iraqi dinar rate. The governor states, quote, Iraq can no longer delay modernizing its financial markets. Adaptation and innovation are now essential to Iraq. This is directly from the central bank governor who controls the dinar, talking about what they, as a country and as a nation, as the governor who controls, the person who controls the rate of the dinar, stating what they need to do. Next, he states, quote, digital revolution offers huge opportunities for transaction digitization, transparency, banking services, and tech investment. You see how he's speaking of technology, transparency. This is where the transparency of our exchanges will come into play as well. This is all a part of the new digital banking system. This is what Goldilocks has always said was needed to happen. Next, the source, the actual source that controls the Iraqi dinar rate, he speaks by saying this, quote, economic strength today depends on resilient, adaptive financial markets that mobilize savings into productive investment. What he's speaking of is how Iraq is attracting foreign direct investors into Iraq, which will help to boost the value of the Iraqi dinar. Next, he's quoted the source who controls the rate of the dinar, states by stating this, quote, developing Iraq's financial markets is a strategic necessity, not an option. I'm going to read that again. This is directly from the source. Developing Iraq's financial markets is a strategic necessity, not an option. Then he's quoted as stating, recent achievements, he's speaking of Iraq and what they've achieved. Recent achievements, sustained low inflation, successful government bond issuance, over 5 trillion dinars within 1 year, covering 50% of budget financing needs in the past 2 years in cooperation with the Ministry of Finance, Securities Commission, and the Iraqi Stock Exchange. What he's referring to is how the stability of the dinar is now greater now than it's been ever before. So much so, they've noticed they have recorded a resurgence in government bond issuance of over 5 trillion dinars in 1 year. Next, he states, the CBI will continue supporting modern strategies, transparency, new financial tools, and global digital transformation to achieve sustainable growth and attract investment. Folks, global digital transformation is Iraq linking with the global banking system. That is the root of the Iraqi dinar revaluing, is to link with the global digital banking system. It is the new digital asset-based trading system, the new banking system, which all countries and their central banks and banks must connect to in order for their currencies to even have a chance to move to their real values. Now, next we're going to hear the sniper is going to share more directly from Iraq. So here we have the source, the Iraqi central bank governor, speaking of Iraq's digital transformation to the global banking system. Folks, this is where Iraq will have the ability to connect. This is where if you've paid attention to Goldilocks sharing about the correspondent banks. These are the international banks that will move the dinar throughout the international banking system. These international correspondent banks already move all the other currencies throughout the international banking system through what? Forex. Now, this is essential for Iraq to connect to these international banks all electronically or digitally, so that they can move the dinar throughout the new banking system, where the new rate for the dinar will be recorded. Now, there was also something else that Goldilocks shared that Iraq made an announcement on. And it was something that actually ends on December the 31st, where Iraq will be released. If I can think of an analogy, they'll come off the training wheels of their banking system, and they will be able to now move freely as a sovereign nation with their banking system. For those that don't know, the United Nations is very important and connected to not just Iraq, but every country around the world. Many people get the impression that the United Nations is only a peacekeeping entity, but the United Nations plays a very important role with currencies. Why? Because all of the ports on the water, all of the ports where exports and imports occur, where currencies move on the water, as Goldilocks always says, watch the water. The United Nations has the technology that is connected to every port, every country, and their ports. So Iraq and all their ports where the dinar will move in the new banking system, the United Nations has the technology for every country and their currency, because it's connected to every country and their ports. So the United Nations Security Council has adopted a resolution to where they will release Iraq to basically, like I said, let them off the training wheels. They will graduate after December the 31st to where Iraq can be sovereign. And this is all connected to, at the same time, their intentions of gaining full accession into the World Trade Organization, which also the United Nations and their technology is connected to. So, Sniper, if you can now go into this and share this, folks, pay attention very closely. Again, this is where, as of December 31st, Iraq will begin the process of a birthing, being reborn into the new digital banking system. Go, young man.
All right, no problem. UN Security Council Resolution 2732, 2024. Final extension of UN AMI mandate. In New York, on May 31st of 2024, in a unanimous vote, the UN Security Council adopted Resolution 2732 in 2024 during its 9,642nd meeting, extending the mandate of the United Nations Assistance Mission for Iraq for a final 19 months until December 31st of 2025.
So you hear the extension. First, they were supposed to be released in December of last year, but there was a unanimous vote by the United Nations Security Council to extend this resolution until December the 31st of this year. After that, Iraq is released. Go, young man.
Mm-hmm. This marks the end of the UN AMI's 22-year presence, established in 2003 to support Iraq's post-invasion reconstruction, elections, and stability amid threats like ISIS.
This is very important, folks. Pay very close attention to this. For 22 years, remember, the invasion of Iraq occurred in 2003. This is when this council and oversight for Iraq began. This is when the training wheels were put on Iraq and their economy and the dinar. For 22 years. So from 2003, 22 years to now 2025, now Iraq will be set free. From this unanimous vote by the United Nations, Iraq has met all of the requirements to be set free. Go, young man.
The resolution requested by Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani in May 2024 reflects Iraq's claimed political and security stability, allowing the mission to terminate while ensuring an orderly closure. It mandates the Security General to develop a transition and liquidation plan by December 31st, 2024, in consultation with Baghdad. This includes phased transfers of tasks of Iraqi authorities and the UN country team, safe withdrawals of 510 personnel, asset liquidation, and closure of regional offices like Mosul and Kirkuk by mid-2025.
Thank you. This is very important, folks. So you see here what it is speaking of the close mentorship, if you will, that they had to give Iraq. Basically, they had to turn Iraq around. It took 22 years to turn Iraq around after the invasion. So now they had to see the security and stability in Iraq before moving forward to connect to the new digital banking system. When I think of it, it's almost as if it took 22 years to rebuild Iraq to prepare it for the new digital banking system, whereas Iraq was behind many countries. In fact, Iraq has been behind most countries in preparing for the new banking system, which we needed the new banking system, folks, for the revaluation of all currencies. Now Iraq is ready. They're being set free. Go, young man. You can continue.
Yep. Key priorities during drawdown. UNAMI streamlined activities focused on 4 areas. First one, electoral support, technical assistance for federal and Kurdistan region parliamentary elections expected in late 2025, emphasizing an inclusive process for women and minorities. Number 2, Iraq-Kuwait relations, facilitating resolution of outstanding issues, including the return of Kuwait property. This includes national archives and reparations of 315 missing Kuwaits and Kuwait's and third country national per resolution 2107 and 2013. If unresolved by December 2025, the Security General must propose a follow-on mechanism by May 31st of 2025. Number 4, development and humanitarian aid, coordinating efforts on sustainable development, climate change, service delivery, and aid for displaced persons, aligned with Iraq's 2025 through 2029 framework. Human rights and accountability, promoting independent institutions, jurisdictional reforms, and protections against abuses. The Council commends Iraq's progress in the dialogue, elections, and human rights, urging full cooperation for seamless transition. It stressed the UN personnel security, requesting Iraqis logistical support, and called the triennial reports from the Security General starting November 30th, 2024. Statements from key members. The United States, penholder, praised UNAMI's role in elections rights and Kuwait ties, view closure to sovereignty milestone, Russia-aligned mandates with the Iraqi priorities, opposed foreign interference. The UK highlighted 20-year contributions and women's participation. China and France emphasized coordinated safe liquidations and Kuwait progress. Guyana, for A3+1, charted a new era of Iraq's democratic consolidation. As of December 2025, UNAMI has reduced a staff and transferred tasks, with final reports confirming steady implementation amid regional tensions. The resolution underscores Iraq's readiness for the self-reliance through experts urge vigilance of security and unresolved disputes.
Now, this is very key, folks. This is where the stability of Iraq, not only their banking system, but their political environment. The late Dr. Shabibi, who was the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq before the current governor of the Central Bank, he stated in his white paper economic reform plan, 75 pages, that Iraq must have, before Iraq can revalue the dinar, this is in the report, before Iraq can revalue the dinar, there must be political stability, and there must be low inflation, and also there must be stability in the dinar. Iraq has now accomplished all three of those, so much so that the United Nations, which has been monitoring and working with Iraq for 22 years, since 2003, are now stating Iraq has met all the requirements. And as of December the 31st of 2025, they will be set free. But they continue with other things. Next, you can go into the mandate. Folks, this is a mandate. So it's mandatory. This is law that Iraq will be set free. Next, we share that. Go, young man.
Yep. UNAMI's 2025 mandate, Iraq's final chapter of UN support. In Baghdad, December 5th, 2025, as Iraq marks a milestone of stability, the United Nations Assistance Mission for Iraq, the UNAMI, enters its concluding year. With its mandate set to expire on December 31st, 2025. Established in 2003 amid post-invasion turmoil, UNAMI has been Iraq's steadfast partner in rebuilding institutions, fostering dialogue, and countering threats like ISIS.
So just think about it, folks. Just think about it. How could there be a revaluation of a currency in a country with political instability, chaos, turmoil, and rampant with terrorists? A weak currency in a weak country, there's no way that can happen. But what has happened is that over the last 22 years, Iraq has received the assistance from the United Nations, and sort of like a handoff when I think about it. The United Nations helped Iraq to rebuild. Many other countries helped Iraq to rebuild. And then Iraq was handed off to the Oliver Wyman Company consulting firm, which is the consulting firm for the World Trade Organization in all countries around the world for their currencies and for stability. Now Iraq has been handed off to them to finish, meaning Oliver Wyman, so that they can gain accession into the World Trade Organization. A country like Iraq or no other country could gain full accession into the World Trade Organization if that country is running rampant with terrorists, political instability. Many of you are probably not even aware that Iraq just had an election about a month ago. The prime minister of Iraq was reelected. And in fact, by a large margin. And the majority political parliament that he is a part of won majority of the election seats. I don't think that was really pumped up for some reason in Dinar land, because it was a smooth election. And it is this prime minister that has actually been the one to champion all of the stability, all of the changes and the reforms that Iraq has made to where they have passed through their parliament. It is this prime minister that has done an amazing job in partnering with the central bank governor in order to create stability throughout the Iraqi banking system. So that was very important. You can continue, young man.
Yep. In May 2024, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani requested the mission's termination, citing the nation's progress in security, politics, and human rights.
So basically what he's saying is, folks, we don't need the United Nations to watch over us and coddle us anymore. We have the political stability. We have the financial stability. We have the laws that we've passed to prepare our banking system and our country for the international stage. It was like, Moses, let my people go. Let my people go. That's what he was saying. December 31st, they will be let go. Go, young man. You can continue.
Yep, no problem. The UN Security Council unanimously adopted Resolution 2732, extending UN AMI for a final 19 months to ensure an orderly drawdown. This includes reducing 510 personnel throughout 2025, closing regional offices in Massaw and Kirkuk by mid-year, and transferring tasks to Iraqi-led efforts.
This is the handoff, folks. This is the handoff. Go ahead, young man.
Yep. Throughout 2025, UN AMI focuses on core priorities, advising on federal elections expected late in the year, advancing judicial reforms, coordinating humanitarian aid for displaced persons, and mediating Iraq-Kuwait issues like missing nationals and property returns by the end of the year. The mission will liquidate assets with residual support via UN Residence Coordinator's Office until 2026. Special Representative Mohammed Al-Hassan hailed Iraq's resilience, noting 6 successful parliamentary elections since 2003 and sacrifices by the UN staff, including the 2003 Canal Hotel bombing. Iraq is ready to lead its future, he said in December briefing. The UN pledges ongoing technical aid aligning with Iraq's 2025 through 2029 Sustainable Development Framework. This closure signals that Iraq's sovereignty, but underscores the need for sustained regional cooperation amid evolving threats.
This closure signals Iraq's sovereignty, but underscores the need for sustained regional cooperation amid evolving threats. Folks, a nation's sovereignty is the breadbasket for their currency to begin to get strong. Their sovereignty. If you pay attention to what Goldilocks has been sharing directly from Iraq, they are at the point where they know they've accomplished everything they needed to in order to be set free and for the dinar to go international. Now the final steps, of course, are within the World Trade Organization and their final negotiations. But up until that point of what it needed to be done, Iraq has accomplished it. And they're publicly stating, in the Prime Minister is stating, let us go. We have accomplished everything that we needed to accomplish in the last 22 years so that Iraq can be the powerful nation that we know we can be. Now, what, Sniper, if you can share next, you can go right to the second paragraph, the extension marks, the mission wind down. So, folks, this is a part of the handoff that is happening. Go ahead, man.
Yep. This extension marks the mission wind down phase, after which UN AMI will cease operations except for liquidation activities, signaling Iraq's readiness to fully manage its affairs without international oversight. Yes, United Nations assistance missions and related UN bodies actively help countries transition economically by tackling poverty, building institutions, promoting sustainable developments, providing technical aid, fostering fair trade, and supporting post-conflict recovery. Using programs like UNDP and specialized agencies for climate finance and governance, all aiming for inclusive growth and stability.
Now, folks, what we're going to share with you now is where the central bank speaks specifically, directly, openly about their plans for the Iraqi dinar. Sniper, I apologize. I forgot to send this to you. I just pumped it into the room.
It's all good.
But I'm sure you already read it during the week when Goldilocks put it out anyway. So
I'll be reading a few things.
Just a few things. Folks, this is where the central banks and the governor speaks directly about their plans for the dinar. I'm going to repeat that. This is now where it is direct and open in writing, directly from the CBI. Not only just the CBI, but the central bank and its governor, but this is from the CBI website. It's in writing, in black and white. You're about to hear it. This is powerful. Go, young man. The floor is yours.
Yep. This is a significant statement from the Central Bank of Iraq, the CBI Governor Al-Masan Alak, on December 2nd of 2025. Here are the key takeaways in clear points. Positive developments. Banking sector reform is the top priority. The CBI views comprehensive banking reform as the foundation for economic stability.
This is directly from the CBI, folks. The CBI views comprehensive banking reform as the foundation for economic stability. What he's stating is this is the foundation for the stability of the Iraqi dinar so that it can go international. Now we have Oliver Wyman, the contract. This is who has been Iraq's major support and mentor from the invasion to now to take them international through the World Trade Organization. This is directly from the actual consulting firm responsible for helping Iraq to go international, to release the dinar, the Oliver Wyman consulting firm, which is the consulting firm for the World Trade Organization. Go, young man.
Yep. Oliver Wyman contract. The engagement with the global consulting firm Oliver Wyman was specifically triggered by the U.S. restrictions, dollar transaction ban on several Iraqi banks. The goal is deep structural reform to meet international compliance standards, especially anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing rules.
Folks, pay attention to this. The goal is to keep structural reform to meet international compliance standards. How can the dinar go international if it doesn't meet international standards? Would you not think? Now, I don't want you to think of the answer to this question emotionally. Think of it logically, financially. How could the dinar go international if it didn't meet the standards to go international? Wouldn't you think that there would be a certain requirement, certain guidelines that the dinar would have to meet and follow in order to become international? So there had to be certain measures that had to be followed, laws, regulations that had to be passed in order for the dinar to go international. Would it not have to follow the standards that other international currencies have already met? The laws, regulations, compliance standards that other international currencies have already met. Would you not think that the dinar will have to meet that guideline as well? It was the Oliver Wyman consulting firm that was charged with the responsibility to help Iraq do that. And as it states, the goal is deep structural reform, meaning into the root, into the infrastructure, down at the grassroots level of Iraq, to meet international compliance standards, especially anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing rules. They had to put up roadblocks, not physical, well, maybe some, but technical roadblocks within their banking system so that when they revalue the dinar, a bunch of terrorists don't become billionaires and then finance their own terrorist activities. In order to do that, they had to meet certain international standards. The Oliver Wyman Company partnered with Iraq in order to do that. And it's been 22 years to get to this point. Pathway back for restricted banks. Go, young man.
Yep. The pathway back for restricted banks. Governor Al-Alak gave the clearest public assurance yet that banks currently banned from the dollar transactions will be allowed to resume normal operations once they complete the agreed reform stages.
What this is talking about, folks, is that there were certain banks within Iraq that got their hands slapped for doing funky business with the Iraqi dinar and also U.S. dollars in Iraq. Now, what the central bank governor is stating is that they're going to let them, now that they've met requirements, let them now do business with the U.S. dollar and the Iraqi dinar moving forward, because they also now have met certain requirements for international standards. All Iraqi banks have signed the reform agreement. Now here we're going to see, folks, we're going to see now where the banks that have gotten their wrists and their hands slapped, probably the boobies slapped too, that they needed to act right. Now they got some act right, and they had to sign agreements, sign their name on dotted line. Probably some had to sign in blood. Now moving forward, they had to do the right thing, because before the dinar goes international, everybody had to be on the same page. Go, young man.
Yep. All Iraqi banks have signed the reform agreement. Universal buy-in from the banking sector.
Universal buy-in from the banking sector within Iraq. All of these different banks, private banks, state banks, small banks, medium, large banks, all saying, okay, we're going to play right. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to stop with the terrorist activity. We're going to stop allowing these terrorists to come in. Well, I'm sure there were agreements signed behind the scenes. There were some political jockeying, maneuvering that had to go on. But now these banks all have signed on for universal buy-in. And this is all related to the Iraqi dinar, folks. You can continue, young man.
Yep. Phased reentry into foreign currency dealings.
Phased reentry into foreign currency dealing. These banks were cut off until they did the right thing. Now they're doing the right thing. Now they're going to rephase the entry back into foreign currency dealing. Go ahead.
Yep. Compliant banks will gradually regain the right to conduct transactions in dollars and in other foreign currencies.
Mm-hmm.
Close international oversight. The process is being actively monitored by the international institution, implicitly the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Treasury.
Folks, there are 4 major agencies, remember, that oversee the revaluation of currencies around the globe. The Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and number 4, the U.S. Treasury. Here we have close oversight for this process is being actively monitored by the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Digital transformation. This is coming from the CBI on digital transformation. The sniper just had eating his high food and fancy food at the hockey match. They talked about digital transformation and AI. Now, what is Iraq talking about? Go ahead, young man. Digital transformation. You can continue.
Yep. The digital dinar, CBDC, project is officially confirmed as underway, but will take considerable time and infrastructure build up before launch.
Now what Goldilocks shares next is the exchange rate and monetary policy. This is very important and pay attention to very closely, folks. This is from the CBI directly. And Goldilocks shared it. Goldilocks is the only source that shares any of this directly from the CBI. And now you're getting it directly from us. But again, this is directly from the source. The source. You know how you take, if you want to If you walk over to your lamp and you flip the switch and the light doesn't come on, you look down, maybe your dog ran past the cord or one of your kids or grandkids ran past, and you look down, you see the plug is unplugged, it's not plugged in. What you got to do? Plug into the source, the wall. This is directly from the source. I hope the light goes off when you hear this. Go, young man.
Yep. Exchange rate and monetary policy. Bullet point 1, strong reaffirmation that the CBI will not devalue the Iraqi dinar.
I'm going to read this again. Strong reaffirmation that the CBI will not devalue the Iraqi dinar. Strong reaffirmation that the CBI will not devalue the Iraqi dinar. What is the opposite of devaluation? Yes, you already know. Go ahead next, young man.
Yep. Keeping the official exchange rate stable is presented as a major policy success that has kept inflation low and protected low-income citizens.
Folks, again, this is from Iraq. This is from the source. Keeping the official exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar stable is presented as a major policy success that has kept inflation low and protected low-income citizens. What is one of the key points of the late central bank governor, Shabibi, about what needed to happen before the Iraqi dinar revalues? Low inflation. Next, young man, you go ahead. Directly from the source. This is more from the source.
Yep. Explicit rejection of using devaluation as a quick fix for budget deficits.
Explicit rejection of using devaluation as a quick fix for budget deficits. Folks, what they're referring to is when the central bank, when Iraq had issues with shortfalls in their budget, well, they could just devalue the dinar and make up for it and make profit in exports. What they're saying is they will not do that anymore. Explicit rejection of using devaluation of the Iraqi dinar as a quick fix for budget deficits. Haven't y'all heard about budget stuff going on in dinar in the last couple of years? We're not going to go into that.
And budget tables.
But budget tables, picnic tables, conference tables, budget tables. Folks, now this is directly from the source stating that they intentionally devalued the dinar in order to cover budget deficits. This was an actual plan, a strategy in order to cover costs was to devalue the dinar. This is directly from the source. This is the source telling you this is what they did. But the source is also telling you explicit rejection moving forward of continuing to do so. Explicit rejection of using devaluation of the dinar as a quick fix. So what they're stating is now they're going to look towards long-term solutions, not just a patch job to fix budget issues. Folks, when the dinar goes international, of course, they have to meet the requirements, especially through the WTO, and especially also when these tariffs go into effect beginning of next year. So many different factors that are going to play into supply and demand for the dinar to begin to gain strength, which will justify the strengthening of the Iraqi dinar. But what the source directly is telling you is they will not devalue the Iraqi dinar anymore. Folks, they won't need to. There are other measures. Again, this is through the 22 years of help and assistance they've received, along with the Oliver Wyman consulting firm. This is why the United Nations, this is why it's been agreed upon to let my people go, to let Iraq go at the end of this month. explicit rejection of using devaluation of the Iraqi dinar as a quick fix. The next is another directly from the source. They're telling you what they will do instead. Instead of a quick fix of devaluing the dinar, this is what they will do instead. What would they do instead, young man?
Instead, the CBI calls for a genuine structural reforms, increasing non-oil revenues, cutting wasteful spending, diversifying the economy, and activating untapped economic opportunity.
Wow. So they're telling you what they will do in order to fuel the value of the Iraqi dinar going up. So instead of devaluing the Iraqi dinar as a quick fix for budget deficits, they will instead, they're calling for genuine structural reforms, increasing non-oil revenue. What folks were just saying is they're going to diversify the economy and activate untapped economic opportunity. This is where they will gain revenue from other areas outside of just oil to justify the raising of the Iraqi dinar and its value. They're telling you it's in writing. There's a cause and effect. Let's say problem and solution. Problem. And they're admitting what the problem was. And they're going to stop. Explicit rejection of using devaluation of the dinar to fix their budget issues. Instead, that's the problem. What's the solution? Structural reforms, increase and diversify revenue outside of just oil, and activating untapped economic opportunity. There are many foreign direct investors, many which is like a flocking to Vietnam. They're now preparing to do the same thing in Iraq. This is where the justification of the dinar and its value going up comes from, because these investors will move where? On the water, through trade. Like Goldilocks has always said, watch the water. So Iraq is saying they will diversify their economy outside of just oil. That means they will open their ports throughout the world for other areas to increase the rate of the dinar. They're telling you what they're going to do. They gave you the problem. Devaluing they told you they were devaluing the dinar. I'll read it again just so you hear it again. Sometimes people got to hear it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. The source is saying explicit rejection of using devaluation of the dinar as a quick fix. They just told you they've been devaluing the dinar to cover their budget deficits. That's the problem. The solution: diversify their economy so that they can revalue the dinar. Next, Goldilocks shares the bottom line from Goldilocks. Go, young man.
Yep. Bottom line. This is one of the most explicit and reassuring statements the CBI has made in recent years about.
This is one of the most explicit. This is one of the most explicit and reassuring statements the CBI has made in recent years about the dinar. Go, young man. Number one.
Yep. Yep. Number one. Ending the dollar ban crisis for affected banks, conditional on real reforms.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, ruling out near-term dinar devaluation.
Near-term, ruling out the devaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Folks, just imagine. I want to pause here for a second, Sniper.
No problem.
Let me ask you a question, Sniper.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you a yes or no question. Have you or anyone you know of heard over the last several weeks, months, years about the revaluation of the dinar consistently over the last, happening every weekend?
It's every weekend, every holiday, you name it.
What did the source say that they've been doing about the dinar? Did they just say they've been intentionally devaluing the dinar?
They did.
In order to cover their budget deficits? Is that what the source just said? So how is it possible if the source is stating that they're going to stop devaluing the Iraqi dinar. But then you've heard, and many have heard, that the dinar was revaluing over this time period. This is confusing. How can the source say that they're going to stop devaluing the dinar? Because they've been doing it. They told you, they said they've been devaluing the Iraqi dinar to cover their budget deficits. If they said, the source said they've been devaluing the dinar, how is it possible that someone can report that the revaluation of the dinar has been ongoing for the last several months, weekends? Is that possible? I'm just asking. Maybe I'm missing something.
Nope,
maybe I'm
missing nothing.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Just let you know none of that's real.
All I had today was water, and Jesus did not turn my water into wine, so I'm not drunk. So I'm not tipsy. I just want to make sure. Okay. Just make sure we're okay. All right, young man, you can continue.
Yeah. Committing to international standard banking reforms under the Oliver Wyman roadmap. Mm-hmm. They are ready to grow for investors, businesses, and ordinary Iraqis. The message is painful. Reforms are happening, but stability of the dinar and eventual full reintegration of the banking sector into the global systems are the end goals.
This is their quote. Quote. For investors, businesses, and ordinary Iraqis, the message is, quote. Painful reforms are happening. This is from the source. They're telling their people, they're telling you, us, all, anyone, everyone who wants to listen. Quote, painful reforms are happening, but stability of our currency, dinar, and eventual full reintegration of the dinar and the banking sector into the global system are the end goals, end quote. They're telling you their intentions is to revalue the dinar. They're telling you painful reforms. Quote, I'm going to say it again. Quote, painful reforms are happening right now, but stability of the dinar and eventual full integration of the banking sector into the global system are the end goals, end quote. They're telling you they're doing everything possible to revalue the Iraqi dinar. These reforms that Goldilocks has been sharing, that Iraq has been implementing, they've been passing. Now you have the source telling you directly, this is exactly what Goldilocks has been telling you is happening. It's in black and white directly from the actual source of what their problems were, their issues. Well, yes, it was a problem for investors in the dinar. Oh, the problem for them too. They were continuously devaluing the dinar in order to pay their bills. Think about that, folks. Don't think of it personally with like in your own personal finances that you lose money to make money, or you get paid less in order to cover your monthly bills, your rent, your mortgage, your car note, your grocery bill. No. You can't think of it that way. You are not a country. You do not have multiple budgets and employees working for you. You do not have multiple agencies. You do not have to abide by international standards. You are not trading on the water. This is a whole country of Iraq. And they are telling you they had to implement these reforms. They had to tell you that they had to have a patch-up job in order to cover their bills, monthly bills, meaning employed staff, expenses as far as reforms, expenses as far as roads, lights, pensions for the whole entire country, retirees. They had to rob Peter to pay Paul. How they do that? They had to devalue the dinar because they would make more on the back end from imports and exports on the water. That's not even possible now with the tariffs that now Trump is implementing. That's not even possible now through the new digital banking system, whereby AI will take over. The human manipulation, the human devaluation, like Iraq is admitting they did to the dinar, it's not even possible in the new banking system because the technology won't allow it. If this technology, the new banking system, wasn't going live, I wouldn't doubt if Iraq would have just continued to devalue the dinar. It was status quo. Status quo will not allow this to continue in a new banking system. Status quo will not allow any country to manually, intentionally devalue their currency. If they were to do that, their countries would go belly up. They would go bankrupt. It's not even possible in a new banking system. Not allowed. Does this make sense with what you just read, Sniper, about Iraq devaluing? I know I didn't share this with you. I just popped this onto you. But Iraq intentionally devaluing the dinar in order to pay their bills. They just said that's what they were doing.
Yep. It makes perfect sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, here they've been, basically trying to keep the upper hand for their country to be able to keep imports or exports high. That's what every country does when they're trying to play the game to be able to benefit.
Right. And folks won't be able to do that moving forward. Now, no more, no mas. Now we're gonna go right into Vietnam, and what in the surge, the trajectory of the Dong that we're seeing now. Now we're gonna throw that on them and let you. Now from dinar to Dong. This is what Goldilocks shared. And also this is also connected to AI. Mike Sniper, his wealth management firm, just talked to him about AI. This is what Goldilocks has been saying is coming. And this is what's going to control the value, the rates on these currencies. And now here you go. And folks, I know many may be resistant to AI. A little fear of AI, but you should be more afraid of the humans that have been devaluing these currencies all around the world for all this time. That's where the real fear should be. That's where the reluctance should be. Not to say that you should necessarily trust AI more than anything else, but you've trusted these humans. But what have they been doing? They told you, devaluing the currency. Artificial intelligence removes the human devaluation, the human manipulation. For those of you who are afraid of artificial intelligence, if you got Netflix, artificial intelligence. You got Alexa, artificial intelligence. You got a smart TV, artificial intelligence. You got a smartphone. You're using artificial intelligence every day, folks. You on social media? Artificial intelligence. You're using it. Just imagine artificial intelligence being a resource that is used to assure accurate currency exchange rates. I bet you won't be too resistant to that now. Go ahead, young man. Let's go. Vietnam.
Yes, sir. Vietnam's tech triumph. AI, tariffs, and stablecoin fuel Dong's 2026 surge.
Fuels the Dong's 2026 surge. Go ahead.
Yep. Hanoi, December 8th, 2025. Vietnam stands at the cusp of a golden era where cutting-edge innovation meets savvy global strategy, propelling the economy to new heights and paving the way for a stronger Vietnamese Dong in 2026. Mm-hmm. Artificial intelligence, strategic tariff navigation, and the rise of stablecoins are not just trends. They're the engines that drive unprecedented demands for the Vietnamese talent, products, and financial ingenuity.
Now, let me ask you this: when you were at this this professional hockey game, eating your steak and potatoes and eating this fancy food with the firm, and they talked about artificial intelligence. Does this ring a bell? What they told you? Does this coincide with what they were telling you?
Connecting the dots. Connecting the dots.
Okay, you can continue.
Yep. At the forefront, AI is igniting a productivity revolution with projections of 120 to 130 billion in economic contributions by 2040. Vietnam's AI ecosystem is exploding, fueled by government initiatives like the National Data Development Fund and partnerships with giants such as Google and JICA, JICA. Mm-hmm. In 2025 alone, the digital economy hit 45 billion, with AI adoption surging in healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. This boom is creating an incredible demand for skilled developers and infrastructure, drawing billions in foreign investment and positioning Vietnam as Southeast Asia's AI powerhouse. The result? Higher exports, job creation, and talent influx that's supercharging the GDP growth towards 7.7% this year.
That supercharging the GDP growth, folks. This supercharges the growth of the Vietnamese Dong as well. Now enter tariffs. See, folks, I'm going to read this for you one more time before you continue, Sniper. I just got to share this with folks again directly from the Trump administration because it says it all. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit. And what did President Trump do in order to fight against the trade deficit? This article is from April 2024. So how is he going to fight the trade deficit and make money for the U.S.? When he came into office, what did he eventually do? Hit these countries with these tariffs that will generate billions into the coffers of the U.S. government to help to offset the trade deficit. Now, that's tariffs. Now enter tariffs. Go ahead, young man. Vietnam.
Yep. Far from a hurdle, the U.S.-Vietnam trade framework, capping duties at 20% while slashing them to zero on key goods, has supercharged manufacturing. Despite initial jitters, Vietnam exports to the U.S. soared 12% in 2025, shrugging off levies through diversification and zero tariff wins in agriculture and tech. This resilience is unlocking new markets, boosting trade turnover to 680 billion and channeling FDI into high-value sectors.
Which is foreign direct investment. This is foreign direct investors flocking to Vietnam. Go ahead.
It's a master stroke, turning potential pain into a competitive edge that amplifies Vietnam's export prowess.
It fuels Vietnam's export prowess. So it fuels Vietnam's exports, which will also fuel the Vietnamese Dong. Go ahead, young man.
Meanwhile, stablecoins are redefining finance, with Vietnam ranking 4th globally in crypto adoption. Over 17 million users are embracing the digital assets for seamless remittances, and cross-border trade, bolstering by Revolution's 2005 pilot program legalizing platforms and utility tokens. Mm-hmm. Through fiat-backed stablecoins remain regulated, this innovation is slashing transaction costs by up to 80%, attracting startups and stabilizing everyday commerce amid global volatility. It's fostering a parallel financial system that is inclusive, efficient, and ripe for explosive growth.
Mm-hmm. Together.
Yep. Together, these forces are weaving an interwoven collection of opportunities. AI-driven efficiency meets tariff-smart exports, amplified by stable coin liquidity, all converging to supercharge foreign reserves and curb inflation. Economists now forecast the Dong appreciation 2 to 3% against the USD in 2026, as inflows from the tech investment and trade surpluses outpace any pressures. Vietnam isn't just adapting; it's leading the Asian community with a prosperous future on the horizon.
Yes. Now, next we're going to talk about how Vietnam is preparing for this. In fact, I'll go ahead and I'm going to read this, and then you'll hit the next one. We'll give you a break. Okay. Reassuring trends for 2026. Many emerging markets, especially in Southeast Asia like Vietnam, are major beneficiaries of the China Plus One trend, seeing significant manufacturing shifts, reshoring, diversification due to geopolitical risks, and rising costs in China. Folks, what this is telling you is many countries around the world that were more attracted to China as a source for manufacturing, they're leaving China and flocking to Vietnam instead. Here are key drivers in Vietnam. Supply chain diversification. Now, listen to these companies, which you all, I would imagine, many of you heard of. Many companies like Apple, Google, Samsung, and Amazon are all moving production from China to Vietnam. Wow. They're Apple, Google, Samsung, Amazon, all leaving China, taking their production from China to Vietnam. Folks, Apple, Google, Samsung, Amazon, isn't that all your phones? That's all the internet? This is the human dependence. This is how humans depend on existence in the modern world, through Google, Apple, Amazon, and Samsung, all moving production to Vietnam. The cost advantages. Lower labor costs and affordable industrial real estate make Vietnam economically attractive. When you hear this, folks, think of how the Dong consistently will be used in all these transactions. And don't think of just these major companies that are moving their production cycles to Vietnam, and that's just it. Think of how the Dong will be affected by the increase in demand. Why would it increase in demand? Because of an increase in usage. Pro-business policies. Vietnam offers strong government support, streamlined processes, and improving market access, leading to a surge in foreign direct investment. This is, speaking of a surge in foreign direct investment, doesn't get any better than Apple, Google, Samsung, and Amazon as investors flocking to Vietnam to set up shop. Then think of the international industrial companies that are doing the same thing. Think of the wealth management firms that are investing heavily into Vietnam and their assets, their stocks, their bonds, the currency. Strategic location and FTAs, which is free trade agreements. Vietnam's location in numerous free trade agreements boosts its role in global networks. Again, this is how the Dong will move up in value. Market reforms. Vietnam is actively reforming its financial markets, leading leading to its anticipated upgrade to secondary emerging market status by the FTSE Russell in 2026. Other emerging markets, also a major player, receiving substantial FDIs: India and Indonesia. Do you have any of these currencies? In essence, Vietnam isn't just reshoring, but rather a prime example of a successful diversification destination, attracting manufacturing as part of a broader trend to build more resilient multi-country supply chains away from China into Vietnam. Yes, Goldilocks is stating, countries reshoring trade, bringing production home, generally increases demand for their currency, leading to the appreciation of their currency because it boosts domestic production, exports, and creates trade surplus. Folks, this is where you see the organic move of how the Dong will move up in value. This is why the expected surge is coming from. Next, my good man, Sniper, you can read from Vietnam the tailwind for the Dong. Just the first two is fine. The first two paragraphs.
Okay. Vietnam supply chain boom. A tailwind for the Dong. Hanoi, December 9th, 2025. Vietnam's deepening integration into global supply chains is fueling economic momentum that could bolster the value of the Vietnamese Dong. Analysts say, by amplifying exports and attracting record foreign investment amid a shifting world trade landscape. The International Labor Organization latest reports jobs in trade and global supply chains in Vietnam highlights Vietnam's dominance in the Southeast Asia GSC employment with over 19 million jobs, more than 25% of the region's total and 35% of the nation's workforce. In 2023, manufacturing leads at 49%, driven by textiles and electronics, with 76% of the roles tied to the demand of the U.S., EU, Japan, and the ASEAN partners. This surge underscores Vietnam's pivot as China's +1 hub, where firms relocate to dodge tariffs and geopolitical risks.
Just think about this, folks. Countries now flocking to Vietnam. And it's amazing because it's like this has all been planned strategically. The tariffs, countries that are running from tariffs, they're trying to avoid tariffs, they're adjusting, they're readjusting what they need to do for tariffs. The countries now that are flocking to Vietnam. Just imagine, this is all going to affect the surge for the Vietnamese Dong. This is where you see, folks, the organic flow that will back a currency, specifically the Dong, to support the increase in its rate. All done organically, not by a flip of the switch. Now, if you can touch on these, what I just posted in these first two paragraphs, this is where we get into money flow and the trends that are going to back the Dong. Go, young man.
Absolutely. Global money printing beyond the dollar. Trends and Vietnamese Dong. In 2025, central banks worldwide are navigating a complex landscape of monetary expansion. Even as many shift from the aggressive quantitative easing of the early 2020s, while the U.S. Federal Reserve has slowed its balance sheet growth, global money printing, often referred to central banks' asset purchases, liquidity injections, or reserve expansions, it continues to elevated levels, driven by the growth needs, the dollarization, and inflation management. The phenomenon extends far beyond the dollar, with institutions like European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, and emerging market peers actively influencing their currencies. The ECB, for instance, has shed $3.3 trillion in assets through quantitative tightening, but maintains expansive policies to counter Eurozone stagnation. The BOJ ended the negative rates in the 2024, yet sustains yen liquidity amid trade pressures. Emerging markets show varied activity. India's Reserve Bank briefly used QE but holds assets at 23% of GDP to defend the rupee. Overall, 2025 ranks as one of the strongest years for the global broad money growth, the M2, rivaling 2017 and 2020 peaks, fueled by deposit expansions in households and firms.
Yes. Now, what I would like for you to touch on is the next China plus one. This is where, folks, countries are flocking away from China, mainly, to Vietnam. Why companies starting to do it? Why companies are moving away? Number one, rising costs in China. Number two, U.S.-China trade war. Number three, geopolitical supply chains. Number four, supply chain resilience. Now, here are real world examples. Sniper, I want you to read the real world examples. Folks, think of these companies that are flocking to Vietnam.
Okay. Real world examples. Apple, Foxconn, Pegatron, and Wistron massively expand in Vietnam and India. iPhone production outside of China, 20%.
Now greater than 20%. Yep. Samsung.
Samsung closed its last Chinese phone factory in 2019. Vietnam is now the largest handset manufacturing base.
Boom. Samsung closed its last Chinese factory in 2019. Vietnam is now its largest handset base. So, folks, you see how the flocking to Vietnam has been happening for a while? Oh, now, now this next one. Go ahead.
Nike and Adidas. Vietnam overtook China as their number one footwear sourcing country years ago.
Nike and Adidas took over Vietnam as Vietnam is their number one source that took several years ago, their footwear sourcing country. Go ahead. Next.
Yep. Intel, Google, Microsoft opened up expanded plants in Vietnam and Malaysia. Mm-hmm. Tesla, BMW, and Hyundai built or announced new factories in Thailand and Indonesia. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, China plus one is not leaving China. It is de-risking China. China remains the world's largest manufacturer, but their share of the global supply chains, that is China only, has been falling steadily since 2018, with Vietnam, India, and other capturing most of the redirected investment. This is the main reason Vietnam's exports and FDI have boomed over the past 7 to 8 years.
This is why their foreign direct investments has boomed, and they're continuously booming. Oh, I mean, I haven't had the type boom in the room in a long time. Doggone. That's it. That word boom. Now we're going to do this. We're almost wrapping up. This is where we're going to talk about how it all affects the Vietnamese Dong. Go ahead, man. Vietnam's remarkable transformation.
Yep. Vietnam's remarkable transformation from a rice-dependent agrarian society to a global manufacturing giant has reshaped its economy and its currency.
Uh-huh.
The 1986 Doi Moi reforms unlocked doors long shut, propelling a nation into an export-led powerhouse. Today, electronics like smartphones and laptops dominate shipments, outpacing traditional coffee and rice, and drawing giants like Samsung and Intel to set up shop. This shift has fueled GDP growth averaging 6 to 7% annually, created millions of jobs, and turned Vietnam into a Southeast Asian rising star. But will this export surge finally elevate the Vietnamese Dong, the VND, to a higher value? Yes. Surging exports flood the economy with foreign dollars, boosting demand for the Dong and signaling strength to investors.
I'm going to read that one more time so you all hear it again. But will this export surge finally elevate the Vietnamese Dong to a higher value? Yes. Surging exports flood the economy with foreign dollars, boosting demand for the Dong and signaling strength to investors. Think of flies on dung, where it's the flocking of, I shouldn't use that analogy, but it's the flocking to something that is attracting people from all over the world, countries from all over the world, investors from all over the world, all flying to Vietnam. This is where the value of the Vietnamese Dong will be affected because the usage, the demand of the Dong will increase. Go, young man.
Yep. Economic growth often appreciates a currency. Mm-hmm. As seen in peers like South Korea during its export heyday, Vietnam's trade surplus, $28 billion in 2024, should, by basic economics, pressure the State Bank of Vietnam, the SBV, towards appreciation, enhancing global purchasing power and curbing import inflation.
Mm-hmm. Last but not least, by Goldilocks.
Foreign currency exchange platforms are receiving new protocols and instructions this week. We will go over this next week.
Now, so Goldilocks wraps this up to tell you that foreign currency exchange platforms are receiving new protocols and instructions this week. We will go over this next week. So by the time you on YouTube, you hear this on Monday, during this week, Goldilocks is expected to share that last week, foreign currency exchange, Forex platforms, protocols received new instructions. Folks, this is all in preparation for what is to come in 2026. We are now wrapping up and ending this year, 2025. The shift is happening. So you see where you have what's the announcement from directly from the source. The CBI, the Central Bank of Iraq, told you they will no longer devalue the Iraqi dinar in order to pay their bills, to cover their budget deficits. They will no longer continue to do that. They are preparing to.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News.
International Banking
Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RV
into the
GCR.
global banking system.
Don't miss
what they
your
said
chance
without saying
to get your
it
latest
directly.
updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from Goldilocks articles on the RV
then you have
GCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Where you see in writing, Goldilocks shared from all the sources. They are flocking to major manufacturers, foreign direct investors, all flocking to Vietnam. And that will increase the surge in the value of the Vietnamese Dong. As a matter of fact, I forgot, don't want to fail to mention, even this from the direct source in Iraq, how they are opening to other investors and diversifying the Iraqi economy so foreign direct investors can flock into Iraq the way that investors are doing the same in Vietnam. Boom. This is all I know this all makes sense to you, Sniper. We will wrap this up. Wiley, do you want to share anything? Anything you want to add before we get out of here? If you're able to unmute.
No, I'm all good, Freedom.
You're all good?
I'm all good.
All right. Thank you. Sniper, thank you, my good man. Sniper, anything you want to add to any of this to take us out of here?
No, sir. I think we're all good. I think we kind of hit all the points that need to be hit.
All right. Excellent. I got some cheesecake waiting for me. I didn't say that on here, but I did. But it's true. I got to hurry get to it. It's cold. Everyone have a good night. We love you. Appreciate you. Be kind, folks. Take care. Have a good night. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance to get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR, brought to you by Freedom Fighter.